Hey there everyone, Ramesh here, back again with another video. In this video we are going to discuss one very important announcement from Spring team. Well, Spring team has published this blog post on Spring official documentation, that is Spring Framework RCE early announcement. Well, Spring team has confirmed one vulnerability issue in a Spring framework. Okay, Spring framework libraries. So let's discuss what is the vulnerability in a Spring framework libraries and what will be the workaround. Okay, and this is the blog post, guys. I will provide a link of this blog post in a video description, so you have to go through this blog post in order to understand what is the vulnerability and what action you need to take in order to resolve this vulnerability. All right, so the vulnerability basically impacts Spring MUC and Spring WebFlux applications running on JDK 9 and later. The specific exploit requires the application to run on Tomcat as a war deployment. If the application is deployed as a Spring Boot execute jar, that is default, then it is not a vulnerable to exploit. Okay, however, the nature of the vulnerability is more general and there may be other ways to exploit it. It means that if you have a Spring MUC and Spring Web Plus applications which is running on JDK 9 and later, there may chance that these applications have this vulnerability, that is RCE. RCE stands for remote code execution. It means that it is basically allowing unauthenticated users to do the remote code execution on your Spring MUC and Spring WebFlux applications. Okay, and this vulnerability is basically confirmed from the VMware as well, right? And this is a very important. If you have Spring MUC and Spring WebFlux applications running on JDK 9 and later, then you should take a look into this this announcement. Well, next, am I impacted? Well, there is a specific requirement for this vulnerability. The requirements like if you are using JDK 9 or higher, then you may have a vulnerability. And if you are using Apache Tomcat for the deployment, and if you are using WAR as a package type, and the dependencies like Spring Web MUC or Spring WebFlux dependency, and this is the Spring Framework specific versions that has a vulnerability. Okay, now let me quickly show you the vulnerability for this Spring Web MUC dependency. It has a version 5.3.0. So let me go to new tab in a browser and let me type Spring Web MVC Maven dependency, hit enter and go to the Maven repository and just search for 5.3.0 and there we go. If you see here, vulnerability from dependency, it means that these specific versions has the vulnerability issues. Okay, just take a note of it. Now we have seen that which are the Spring Framework versions has the vulnerability issues. Now you might be wondering what will be the workaround for this. So they have already suggested the workarounds like Spring Framework this and this version addresses the vulnerability. So if you want to resolve this, you have to upgrade this Spring Framework version to the latest version. So if you can go to again the Maven repository, and if you can go to the latest version of this Spring Web MUC, you don't find that vulnerability. It means that if you want to resolve this vulnerability issue, you have to upgrade your Spring Framework versions, that is these specific versions, to the latest version. Well, in case of Spring Boot, also you can upgrade your Spring Boot application to the latest version, because Spring team has also suggested like the nature of the vulnerability is more general and there may be other ways to exploit it. Okay, that's why just migrate your Spring Boot application to the latest version. Well, I highly suggest you guys to check out this blog post and you can go ahead and read all these blog posts. And if you have any question, then you can ask question in a comment section. They will immediately respond to your question. Okay, so this is the quick announcement that I want to inform you guys. All right, so yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.